run around. So those would be my recommendations. All right, sounds good. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Let's come to our seated position, close down the eyes, and we'll just take a moment to establish ourselves in our space. And feel your connection to your seat and begin to root down. And from that rooting down, there's a nice rebound up the length of the spine. It lightens your heart. You begin to lighten the thoughts. As we slowly move from thinking to feeling. And last week we talked about setting an example that you're proud of. And my hopes was that it came to life in your daily life. And today's thought or idea is leaving trails of goodness behind. So what would that mean? How would that feel? To leave trails of goodness behind. Take 10 cycles of breath. Draw the breath down to the base of the tailbone. Ride it out. Bring your hands to your heart space. Set your intention for your practice. Inhale. Exhale. Open up the eyes and make your way into a downward facing dog. Stretch the ribs towards the thighs. Tilt the tailbone to the ceiling. Keep the torso as it is and begin to bend and straighten through the legs. Invite in the breath. That idea of leaving trails of goodness behind. Lower the knees down to the earth for tabletop. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Bring the hips back to the heels. Walk the hands forward. Guide the breath to the outer hip. Settle down through the rib cage and loosen through the neck and through the jaw. Nothing's going to change in the legs. Figure 4, downward facing dog. Curl the back toes underneath you. Straighten through the left leg. You're creating active resistance to keep the ankle above the knee joint and the knee drawing back to the space behind you. The right leg will straighten out for an IT band stretch. Ground the right foot onto the earth. And then sway the weight side to side. Feeling into the outer leg line and the inner leg line. Uncross the legs for downward facing dog. Draw the ribs to the thighs, tilt the tailbone up and maintain that beautiful length along the spinal column. Then bend the knees, hover them above the earth, straighten through the legs. So the only thing that's moving are the knees bending. The hips stay reaching away from the crown of the head. The legs begin to lengthen from the sit bones all the way down through the heels. Then slowly descend the knees down to the earth. Take the left leg, cross it on top of the right. Bring the hips back to the heels and keep the arms walking forward. You can use the hands to help you balance out the weight of the torso, balance out the weight of the hips. Nothing changes in the lower body. Figure 4, downward facing dog. Now we straighten through the right leg. Use that outer hip to draw the ankle above the knee and draw the left knee to the space behind you. Straighten out through the left leg. Bring the left foot onto the mat and then shift the weight from side to side. Uncross the legs, downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Ragdoll, interlace the hands, bring them to the elbow creases. Gaze in between your shin and find a slight bend through the knees. Migrate the weight into the balls of the feet. Release the hands down. Chair pose. Bring the shins to stack over the ankle joints. Lift up the toes. And then scoop the tailbone towards the nose. Soften down through the shoulders. Draw in through the ribs. Figure 4, right ankle crosses over the left. Establish your drishti, that focal point. Single leg Tadasana, the right leg will lift up to hip height. Step forward to a grounded airplane. Fingertips plant down, left leg lifts up. Square the shoulders by lowering down the left rib, but continue to lengthen out through the left leg. Cross the left leg behind the right. Bend the knees, bring the hips to the heels. Straighten through the legs. Bend the knees, bring the hips to the heels. You want to organize the feet and place them far enough apart to bring the hips all the way down to a seated position. Open arm twist to the right. The left hand will hug in the outer right thigh. Draw the inner thigh to the chest and lift the collarbones up. Take a full breath in. Soften right shoulder down, breath out. Unwind the spine, bring the hands down to the mat. Rounded airplane, left leg lifts. Crescent moon, lower the left leg down. Bring the left knee to the mat and rise up with the arms. Beautiful, Heidi. Crescent moon. Curl the back toes underneath you. Rise up to crescent. Crescent moon, hovering. Left knee hovers. Rise up to crescent. Hovering crescent moon, very nice. Crescent and hold. Now refine your crescent by scooping the tailbone underneath you. That'll help to balance out your hips. Equal out the weight between both of your legs. And how would it feel to leave trails of goodness behind? Take a breath in and a breath out. Crescent moon, lower the knee down to the earth. High plank. Lower down to mid plank with an option to bring your knees down to the mat. If you're swaying in the low back, drop the knees. You're here for 4. Bring the head in line with the spine. 2. Hug the forearms towards the ribs. And then lower all onto the mat. Point the toes behind you. Bhujangasana. Peel the chest up as you press the pubic bone down. And release. 2 more cycles of breath. Tops of the feet ground down. Elbows stay narrow to the ribs. And lower down. This is your mid. This is how narrow you'd like your elbows to remain when you move into your mid-plank. Then lower the chest down, curl the toes underneath you. Either come to mid-plank on the toes or mid-plank on the knees. You're here for 5. Gaze at the top edge of your mat for 3, 2. Press it up, high plank to downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Chair pose. Figure 4, left ankle crosses on top of right. Set your gaze. Single leg Tadasana, left knee lifts up to hip height. Step it forward for a grounded airplane. The right leg crosses behind the left. Give yourself a nice wide stance and bring the hips to lower down to the heels. Lift the hips up. Get heavy through the head. Hips to heels. Gaze at your shins. 1 more round of breath. Lower the hips, bring them down to the earth, open arm twist to the left. Hug the left inner thigh to the chest, sit tall up on the sit bones, and soften down through the left shoulder. Take a cycle of breath in and a rinsing breath out. Very nice. Unwind, grounded airplane. Step it back to crescent moon. Back toes curl under. Find your drishti. Rise up to crescent. Crescent moon, hover. Rise up to crescent. Scoop the tailbone. Draw it towards the nose. Hovering crescent moon. Back to crescent. Lean the shoulders back. Slowly lower down to crescent moon. Very nice, Katie. Plant the hands, high plank. Beautiful, Erin. Mid plank and hold. Option for the knees. Work the elbows into the waistband. Try to make contact with the inner arm line to the ribs. That'll bring the effort into the triceps where you're stronger than you are in the front part of your shoulder joint. Lower the belly all the way down to the earth. Cobra pose, the right leg will lift this time. Peel the chest up. Right leg lifts, toes to the back of the head. Then release. Left leg. And release. Your breath. 2 more times through on each side. Just take note which leg gets a bit more height up, get a bit more lift away from the mat. When you've completed your 2 cycles on each, you'll find mid-plank and we'll all meet in mid-plank. So develop that strength in the upper body. Stay relaxed in the mind. Connect to the breath. High plank. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Chair pose. Look at the toes, bring them in line with the hips. Now scoop the tailbone under as you drive the shins back. Figure 4, right ankle crosses on top of left. Figure 4 to tree. You're working the strength of the outer thigh to place the foot to the inner leg line of the left leg. Very nice. Now take the base of the rib cage and draw it down towards your hips. Express yourself, leaving trails of goodness behind. Take a breath in. Full breath out. Single leg Tadasana. Step it forward for full airplane. Left heel lifts up to shoulder height. Lower the hip down so both right and left sit bone are even. Listen for the change. The left leg will cross behind the right. Come to mountain arms. Hands come to the creases of the elbows, side body stretch up and over to the right. Lean the torso back. Genie arms. If you're not secure with lowering the hips down, bring your hands down to a grounded airplane. Otherwise, descend the hips all the way down to the earth. Slow and steady. Open arm twist to the right. Left hand grabs for the left foot. Right foot, extend your right foot out, kick into the left hand, and draw the right inner thigh towards the chest. Inhale, ring out on the exhale. Release the foot, bring the spine back forward, either grounded airplane or stand up. Single leg Tadasana, left leg lifts. Step it back to crescent. Open up to warrior 2. So warrior 2. So notice if you're reaching into the future, bring the shoulders back to stack on top of the hips, or if you're leaning back into the past. Find yourself centered in the present moment by connecting to a deep breath in and a rooting down breath out. Star pose. Hands come behind the back of the head, elbows draw wide, Skandasana to the back leg. Bend deeply into the knee. Watch that shin. You don't want to dump the whole load into the front knee, so shift it back. Draw the front of the ribs towards one another. And breathe. Let's square you here. Good. Rise up, star. Warrior 2. Reverse warrior. Low lunge. Pivot on the ball of the left foot, lower the left knee down to the earth for crescent moon. Bring the hips back to the heels. Fingers can stay grounded or To increase the intensity, bring the arms up. Now take the seat, lift it off of the heel, lower back down, lift and lower. You're engaging all the supportive muscles around the knee joint. The quadricep feels as if it's pulling away and lifting up the whole length of that femur bone. Now curl your tailbone towards the nose. Notice what tissues turn on. You're here for 3, 2, and 1. Press forward. Crescent moon, hands plant. High plank. Mid plank and hold. Narrow the elbows, then think about the arm bones drawing back to the hips. Lower all the way down to the belly. Interlace the hands at the low back. Shalabhasana, lift the chest up. Take the right heel towards the right sit bone. Try to touch your fingertips by lifting the quadricep off the mat. Little pulses, working that heel towards your hand and keeping it there. So we're engaging through the hamstrings. We need the hamstrings in order to achieve a deeper back bend. The hamstrings is what presses the pelvis forward to get more of a lift through the upper back. Good. Hold the heel to the fingertips, lift up through the chest, take a deep breath in, and release, lower down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders, curl the toes under for mid plank. High plank, downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Take a moment to think and to feel that idea of leaving trails of goodness behind. For me, it speaks right to my heart. Rise up. Chair pose, figure 4, left leg crosses over the right. Grow into your tree. Beautiful, Martina. Single leg Tadasana. Step it forward, airplane pose. Lovely, Erin. Right leg crosses behind the left, mountain arms, hands to elbows, side body stretch. Bring the spine back to neutral, hands come to genie arms, lower the hips all the way down to the mat. Open arm twist, right hand grabs for the left foot. Straighten through the left leg, sit taller through the spine, and draw the belly in and up away from the thigh. Take a full cycle of breath in and a releasing breath out. Unwind, left leg in front, genie arms standing up. Fingers are always an option. Single leg Tadasana, right knee lifts. Find your drishti, your gaze. Step the right leg back to crescent. Crescent to warrior 2. Star pose. Hands come behind the head, elbows go wide, but the front of the ribs stay knitted together. Skandasana to the back leg. Hinge at the hips. Shift the weight back to the heel. So bend here. Lower your torso this way. Yes. Soften down here. So just soften your shoulder. Yeah. And turn. Rise up through star. Warrior 2 to the front of the room. Nice, Kathy. Reverse warrior. Stay lengthened through that right leg. Low lunge. Crescent moon, right knee lowers down to the earth. Walk the hands back, bring the hips back over the heel. Option to reach the arms up or keep them grounded. Now play with lifting the seat off of the heel. Notice how quickly you want to come into an anterior tilt. Encourage the sit bones to roll underneath you, to build that strength through the quadricep. And you'll hold your hips off of the heel for 3. As best you can, lower the left hip to meet your right for 2. And 1, crescent moon. You'll use the back leg to propel the hips forward, crescent moon. Hands plant, high plank. Mid plank and hold. Gaze at the top edge. Hug the elbows in. Arm bones move back. 2. And 1. Lower all the way down to the belly. Lovely, Vinyasa. Interlace the hands at the low back. Shalambhasana. Lift the chest off. Ground down through your pubic bone. Left heel comes to the left sit bone. Make contact with those fingertips. It's a lifting up of the thigh away from the mat that will turn on the hamstrings. Little pulse. If you're cramping up, if it's challenging, you're doing it right. 3, 2, and 1. Lower down. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Curl the toes under. Mid plank. Hug the thighs to the thigh bones. Press them up to the hamstrings so the lower body carries some of the effort. High plank. Downward facing dog. So how does goodness speak to you? Where do you feel it in your body? Where do you feel it manifest and grow? How do you feel when you experience goodness? When you witness goodness? Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Rise up to chair pose. Figure 4, right ankle crosses over the left. Eagle, full bind or kickstand the right leg. Right elbow hugs underneath the left. Take the sit bones, roll them down to the heel. Bring the shoulders to stack on top of the hips. Very nice. Very slowly unwind the legs, unwind the arms, single leg Tadasana. Step it forward to airplane. Left leg crosses behind the right, mountain arms. Grab for the elbows, side body stretch over to the right. Bring the spine back to neutral, the hands in front of the chest for genie arms, and slowly lower the hips all the way down to the earth. Open arm twist to the right. Left hand grabs for the right foot, hold. Kick the foot into the hand, the left leg's gonna come to meet the right for a twisted boat. Bring your awareness down below the belly button. Follow the exhale out. You're drawing the belly button towards the spine, then lifting it up the spine. That's your deep core turning on. 3, Beautiful, everyone. 2 and 1. Right leg crosses on top of left. Genie out the arms. Stand up to a single leg Tadasana. The left leg will lift up to knee height. Sorry, hip height. Establish that drishti. Come back into it. Stay focused. Left leg steps back. Warrior 1. Ground down through the left heel. Reach the arms up. Interlace the hands at the low back. Take the tailbone. Feel your hands making contact. And then curl your tailbone away from the arms. Humble warrior. Keep the tailbone scooping forward and the knuckles lifting up. Jaw is soft and relaxed. Exhale out the air. Reach through the knuckles, rise up to warrior 1. Option to keep the legs as is for pyramid pose, or step the left leg forward, point the toes forward. Pyramid pose, reach out through the fingertips. Guide the breath down the length of both legs. Pull it down to the base of the spine. Stimulate that energy right at the base, your first and second chakras. Your Mula Bandha. Halfway lift the spine. Flat back brings you back up to pyramid pose. Pyramid pose. Take a breath in and a breath out. Lower the back knee all the way down to crescent moon. Bring the hips back to the heels. Curl the tailbone under and then stand up on your left knee, curling the tailbone under. You're working the right leg as straight as possible. Now it's a strength and a stretch happening down that left side body. To increase it, it's the scooping under of the seat and the lifting up of the spine. Look at your hips in the front of the room, and as best as you can, try to level them out. Breath in. Bye, Kathy. Breath out. Crescent moon to high plank. Mid plank. 3, 2, and 1. Lower all the way down to the belly. Interlace the hands at the low back. Bring the left cheek to the mat. It'll be a 2 kick pulse with the legs touching the hands. 1, 2. Gaze to the opposite side. 2 kick, thighs lift. Pubic bone grounds down. Gaze to the opposite side. As you kick and the heels meet the hands, you're grounding down through the top of the hips and through your pubic bone. Get the hamstrings turned on. When you're done, come to a mid plank and hold. High plank to downward facing dog. Refreshing breath in. Clearing breath out. Bring your awareness around the idea of leaving trails of goodness. And then plant your intention that you set right in the middle of that idea. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Rise up to chair pose. Left leg crosses on top of the right, figure 4. Eagle. Full bind or kickstand. Now the torso likes, so it's the scooping under of the tailbone. I know it's repetitive, but it's so important to lift the shoulders over the hips and not to dump the load forward. Unwind the legs, unwind the arms, single leg Tadasana. Airplane. Right leg crosses behind the left, mountain arms. Side body stretch. Use both feet evenly to open up the sides of the body. Good. Bring your spine back to neutral, lower the hips all the way down to the earth. Very nice, Martina. Open arm twist to the left. Right hand grabs for the left foot. Kick the foot into the hand, twisted boat, left right leg meets the left leg. So here's the scooping of the tailbone, the hollowing out of the pelvic floor, the engagement of the powerhouse or the Uddiyana Bandha. 3, 2, left leg crosses in front of the right, genie out the arms, set your focus, your gaze. Rise up, single leg Tadasana, right knee lifts. Nice transitions. Step it back to a warrior 1. Nice wide base, left heel, right heel, roots down. Interlace the hands at the low back. Feel your sacrum making contact with your thumbs, then bring your tailbone away from your arms. Humble warrior, left shoulder falls to the inside of the left leg. Hug the left hip down, back into the middle. Now, are you breathing? Are you staying present? Reach through the knuckles, rise up. Pyramid pose, release the hands. Option to keep the back leg as is or step it up and point the toes forward. For pyramid pose, reach the chest. Keep the shoulders down away from the ears by the ribs drawing towards the hips. And keep the relationship going with the breath and the sensations that you're feeling. We're practicing at learning ourselves, learning how to leave trails of goodness behind, how to set examples that we're proud of, how to release and relieve some of our own suffering. Halfway lift the spine, shoulders come in line with the hips. Rise up to pyramid, arms straighten. Lower the back knee down to the earth, right knee lowers down. Bring the hips to the heels. Curl the tailbone under, then stand back up onto that knee. Work to straighten the left leg and balance out the weight as best you can on your hips. You'll notice you'll bring different sensation and activation across the outer hip, inner hip, right down the middle of the thigh. So refine. Breath in. Breath out. One more tucking in of the tailbone. Breath in. Breath out. Crescent moon to high plank. Mid plank and hold. Narrow the elbows, lower all the way down to the belly. Interlace the hands at the low back. Shalambhasana, lift the chest. Draw the heels to touch the hands. Stay here, lift the thighs by pressing the hamstrings down. Full floor bow. Grab for your ankles, they're right there, very nice. Now kick into your hands. 3, 2, and 1. Release. Bring one cheek to the mat. Let the heels rock from side to side. Loosen up the low back. Bring the hands underneath the shoulders. High plank. Downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Chair pose. Dancers, right hand grabs for the inner arch of the right foot. Draw the knees back in line with the hips, then kick the foot into the hand. Here are those hamstrings again. Single leg Tadasana. Full airplane. Left leg crosses behind the right, side body stretch, mountain arms. Bring the spine back to neutral, lower the hips all the way down to the earth. Open arm twist to the right, grab for the foot. Extend through the right leg. Twisted boat. Take the outer edge of the right foot and draw it back, even, so you're reaching through the inner heel. Twisted boat, left leg meets the right. Now take a moment to think about where you're going to place your feet. We're going to move into wild thing. The left heel will come closer to your sit bone. The right leg will extend out. Lower yourself down. Plant your feet, press up into wild thing. Cycle through a round of breaths, opening and spreading the ribs wide. Lower the hips down. Right leg crosses on top of the left, genie arms. Stand up. Left leg steps back, crescent moon. Bring the hands down, walk the hips back. Take the right ankle, cross it on top of the left. You can stay right here for the outer thigh stretch, walking the hands forward. Otherwise, we're moving into our peak posture, which is figure 4, big balancing toes. I forget exactly what it's called. But it looks something like this. We're going to bring the hands off of the mat, balance on the ball of the left foot. Wherever you are, 3 deep breaths. Good. Very nice. And when you're ready, walk the hands forward. Uncross the leg, tabletop, cycle through a round of cat-cow. High plank to downward facing dog. Walk the hands to meet your feet at the back of your space. Rise up to chair pose. Dancer, left hand grabs for the inner thigh. Yes, so we're starting to minimize drawing that knee wide. Instead of, we're using the hand to lift the heel up to the seat. Full dancers. Use the posterior chain of the body, the back side of the body, to help you lift through your heart. Single leg Tadasana. Full airplane. Right leg crosses behind the left. Mountain arms. Side body stretch up and over to the left. Bring the spine back to center. Genie the arms. Slowly descend the hips all the way down. How quickly the body adapts and how fluid that movement becomes. Open arm twist to the left. Right hand grabs for the left foot. Twisted boat. Right leg comes to meet the left. You're moving into wild thing. Think about the foot placement. Right heel will move closer to the seat. The left leg will be long, straight out in front of you. Wild thing. Left hand plants, hips lift. Spread the ribs wide. Open up through the front part of the chest. Take a full cycle in and out. Lower the hips down to the earth. The left leg crosses on top of the right. Bring your hands in front of you and stand up. Uncross the legs, single leg Tadasana. Right leg steps back to crescent moon. Bring the hips to the heels. The left leg will cross on top of the right. Walk the hands forward for an outer thigh stretch, or continue to walk the hands back. Roll up onto the bridge of the foot and play with lifting your hands. Three breaths. When you're ready, you'll make your way into a tabletop. Cycle through a round of cat-cow. So how did it feel to leave trails of goodness behind? Find that lightness, that smile within your practice. Can you carry that idea off of your mat and into your daily life? So you become a living example of your yoga, of your union. Child's pose. Take a moment to ground yourself back in, to reconnect to your intention. And then surrounding your intention with the broader idea of leaving trails of goodness behind. Slowly you'll make your way onto your seat. Extend the legs out in front of you. Lay all the way down onto your back. Whatever closing postures you need to seal in your practice, please take a few cycles of breath and make your way into them. If you're ready, you'll settle yourself into your final Shavasana. Touching upon that goodness that radiates and permeates that space within and around you. Begin to draw the breath deep and low into the pit of the belly. Riding the exhale out long and smooth. When you're ready, come to a fetal position on either side of your space. And the invitation is to leave trails of goodness behind. Just notice how that idea shifts your perspective, shifts your view. When you're ready, come to a fetal position. Come to your seat. The soft gaze or rested down eyes. The hands will come to the heart space and we'll seal in our practice with 3 breaths together. Exhale out the air. Inhale. Exhale. Breath in. Breath out. Breath in. Breath out. Bowing to the goodness that lives within our hearts, sealing in our practice with light, love, gratitude, and grace. Namaste.